there, you beautiful people. My name is Willow's Duality, and welcome back to another Subpar Commander. And today we're looking at a 4v4 played on Seraphim Glaciers on the Team Matchmaker. All of these players around or below 1,000 rating. And we're going to start by introducing our players with Team 1 in the top, Team 2 in the bottom. But before we do, if I could direct your attention to the buttons down below, there is like, subscribe, dislike, commenting, and of course the channel membership and a link to my Patreon. If you want to help out the channel in any way, shape, or form, that's the way to do it. It's all below this video. Go click those buttons now. And with my shill out of the way, we're going to move over to the far west side of the northwesternmost island, starting with the gray Cybern going first land by the name of Laxalter for Team 1. And he's going to be rocking this position here. Probably going to be getting into the Navy very quickly, which is true for most of the players here. And to his northeast, we have ourselves a blue Seraphim by the name of the Dark Raven going first land. Gonna be rocking the northern position on this western island. Moving farther east, we have ourselves an orange UEF going first land by the name of Flaming Goat. And he's here to burn down the heathens with his very horned strategies. I don't know where I was going with that, but moving on to the first player to go first air for Team 1, and possibly the last, no, in fact is the last player to go first air. He's a purple UEF by the name of Major Pain 10. He is here to bring the pain. Moving on to Team 2, in the far east, we have ourselves a yellow UEF going by the name of Control 3, starting first land. His ally to the southwest, we have ourselves a red Seraphim going first land by the name of Astolfo Pounder. Pounder 69. Oh man, introducing people is so difficult sometimes. Moving on to the white UEF in the far west island, and his name is Get Aren't, and he is starting with a first land factory. And then there is a pink UEF going first air by the name of Momoshiki, and that's going to round it out for our teams and our players. Now let's talk about this map after all of that introduction. About 7,000 reclaim, all in the confines of the main islands. Not really most times you see reclaim kind of in between the players, in between the teams, and that reclaim is to encourage some early aggression. But on Seraphim Glaciers, you kind of just don't have a lot of reason not to punch your opponent in the face really early on, so they're just giving the mass right here on the main islands. A Navy heavy map. And I think on Navy heavy maps, you kind of have to look at the factions and decide which faction kind of has the better situation. And personally, I think Cybern is the easiest to execute Navy option of any of the factions, and the only team with a Cybern player is, of course, Team 1. Doesn't mean it's going to decide a lot, but with the Cybern, it's very simple. It's spam your main battle units. It's not like all of the UEF players who are going to need shield boats and destroyers and cruisers and everything else just to get the same damn job done. Of course, slightly better and slightly more efficient to use those that eclectic mix of units that the UEF does do. But overall, Cybern simple for building lots of boats. Also, air going to play a huge role. Getting this central island, getting the islands in between you and your opponents, gonna be important. And of course, the allocation of who gets what. That also obvious question of who gets to be greedy and who gets left behind, who has to sack their economy for their teammates to build up a bigger weapon of mass destruction behind them, and who gets to eco horror like no tomorrow. These questions and more will be answered in this feature-length cast, coming to you live right now. Actually, it's not coming to you live. This is all recorded. It's coming to you in the past, everybody. This is future Willow. No, this isn't future Willow. This is past Willow. This is current Willow. Control 3, moving has come out to the eastern island along with the commander of Major Pain. And that is interesting, as these two players deciding to do this, and on the western side, just seems as though there's going to be drops out from both teams, both players, and this time the drop coming out from Momoshiki just going to be slower than the drop out from Laxalter. So yeah, when you're slower, you just lose. So yeah, this is probably going to mean there's going to be some kind of entrenchment out from Laxstalker, and he's even going to try and drop an engine here on the main island of Momoshiki. Does Momoshiki see this coming? Okay, if this isn't a drop on your island, I don't know what it... Do you notice it? You gonna ping it? Ping things! My PSA, ping things. Oh my god, he's going to get a bunch of reclaim. The Madman Salter doing so well with this early drop, these early units. A drop now coming out from the white UEF, Get Aren't, and he is going to be shot down. Not before he drops off his engineers, but the transport not long for this world. A factory already near completion for Laxalter, and that's just going to mean that his factory finishes faster. And when having a factory earlier on an island, you generally win. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. There's still a chance that Get Aren't here will do a little bit better. On the eastern island, there's still a little bit of a fight going on. Control trying to build a point defense, and Major Pain 10 deciding to just shoot at the man. And these are the two lowest rated players in the game, other than Momoshiki. Actually, Control 3 is a relatively high rated player. Control 3, could you... Oh no, the overcharge there really gonna hurt Control 3's chances, and Major Pain with the bold strategy of just walking up and shooting his opponent's ACU in the face with his own ACU may secure himself a scalp. If he has a submarine in the water, this could be a kill right here, right now, but no, it does seem as though Control 3 is just gonna be able to walk out, but maybe the boat will affect his pathfinding. Wow, that is limbo if ever I've seen it. That's the new UEF limbo strategy, trying to walk underneath a frigate, and you just slowly move the frigate closer to land. Over here to the west, as I said, you get your factory first, you generally win, and he's assisting in building Manti. Manti gonna come out here and just, yeah, this was a foregone conclusion. Even though I tried to act like, oh, maybe something. No, this was... Your factory finishes first, you have more units, and on top of that, you have Zooies from your allies showing up. So that's going to be a significant win over on the western side for the Gray Cybran. Going to mean great things for him and his allies on that front. And right now, it's really, really looking like Team 1 is going to have a map control advantage. Despite all of this, though, despite all of the great fighting over the side islands from Team 1, the central island, which arguably has the more valuable situation, like, there's so many mexes here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 mexes here versus the 4 on each of these is going to even it out. All of this going over to Pounder 69 means he's going to be sitting on a strong eco. In fact, I think if we go ahead and check on the economic scales, he's ahead of everybody by a margin of 30 to 40%. He's ahead en masse. This drop here in the middle for Pounder is going to be hugely significant. Of course, overall, he's not making... He's only really affecting about 7 to 8 more mass a second overall for the teams, but he has such a huge economic position right now, and as long as he continues to upgrade some of these mexes and maybe even manages to get to T2 Navy relatively early with some good T1 spam, we could see him get in a powerful position and just kind of roll over this eastern side or provide support for his team anywhere it's needed. T1 Bomber in the center, trying to get some damage done out from Flying Goat, but deciding just not to attack all of the units on the island over here for Pounder. Coming in for seemingly a pass on to maybe this engineer is going to drop its payload. Don't think Pounder is going to be able to dodge in time, so the Scorcher does manage to get 1 kill, but going to die to a La Issel. So that's going to be unfortunate for him. Also, is this La Issel or Ia Issel? I guess it's Ia Issel, isn't it? It's not La Issel because the first letter is always capitalized. Huh. Ia Issel. And a drop up here. Man, I'm missing drops left and right. Somebody fire me from my job as a caster. Because over here on the eastern side, it seems as though Pounder has managed to get a drop onto the main island of Major Pain and Flaming Goat. And he's getting so much damage done with just a handful of units. Pounder, the standout player for Team 2, just destroying the eastern islands and managing to take over that central island uncontested. He's going to start losing some territory there now, but overall he's in a strong position and he has somewhat of a focus on air, and he's getting these drops off. Major Pain in a ton of pain. You could say he's in a major amount of pain, and he is now being destroyed by Zooies and Thumbs. He's about to lose the last of his structures on this main island. The calm of Flaming Goat starting to walk its way down to the south. I'm very surprised. This is the eternal issue with not having a land factory on this map. If you don't have a land factory, you can't just spam out a couple of units. So a fatal flaw out from Major Pain, going first and only air. Not building a single land factory means he couldn't build out any units to eventually kill this off. And this is going to mean he's going to be behind. There's very little he can do about it. This is going to be cleaned up eventually by the comms of both Flaming Goat, who's building a triad to solve it, instead of just walking at the 5 units, the 6 units here. Fun fact, if you're Flaming Goat and you're watching this, building the triad, completely pointless. Just walk at him. Just walk at the man. You'll get the same amount of stuff done. And they can run away from the triads. They can run away from your comm too, but they only have so much land to run to. And now Major Pain has to rebuild, or maybe even just say, hey, fuck it, Flaming Goat, you can have my base. That's what I would do at this point, and I would go homeless man with a gun strategy, because rebuilding at this point is going to take you so long, you're going to be irrelevant for so long, you have to rely on your opponents being merciful and just not attacking you. Which is not something I'd like to do. I'd rather just say, hey, you take over, you re-expanded my base, and if you want me to play again, you can hand me the shit. Over here to the south, we have a drop coming out from Exalter onto the main island of Momoshiki. And it's just 6 Mantis, but this could have the same knock-on effect that we saw coming out for Pounder 69 against Major Pain. I'd like to see maybe some engineers transported over, try and get up a land presence on this island, especially if these Mantis are not going to be contested. Of course, both of the comms from Momoshiki and Get Aren't are going to show up and head towards the Mantis that were dropped. That's going to be very, very annoying for Black Salter. Black Salter showing up with a cruiser, and it's of course a Cyber cruiser having that direct fire weaponry. Gonna be able to fire on the multiple air HQs of Momoshiki, who is currently sitting on 2 UEF air HQs, 1 UEF air T1 factory, and 2 Cybran T1 air factories. So, an eclectic mix of technologies as, wait, how did he get Cybran tech? Okay, I have missed way too much. He captured an engineer. At some point... Wait, he captured the engineer that was reclaiming? Oh, that's dirty. Oh, that's dirty. That's so dirty. Over on the eastern side, we have a bit of a naval battle kicking off between Control 3, a Flaming Goat, and Major Pain. Of course, Major Pain not really participating as he only has frigates and there's a bunch of submarines. Seems as though the submarine war is going to go in the favor of Control 3, but he's going to be left with almost nothing to deal with this. But he has a force behind this, so that's going to mean that he's going to be able to clean up these forces out from Major Pain, who's going to have a lot of struggles to rebuild his base and get back up to an economic state where he can afford his production. Over here to the southwest, having Cybran tech is not insignificant. If Momoshiki can make something happen with this, that would be amazing. He's only 36 rated. I'd like to see him maybe gift some of this Cybran tech over to one of his more experienced teammates, because it does seem he's struggling a little bit. Of course, sitting on 2 T2 air HQs is not ideal, and also gonna have some power struggles as he still doesn't have a T2 power. Does have a lot of T1 power though. over here to the north, T2 Navy, of course, we saw a little bit of that out from Stalker, but now T2 Navy also produced by the Dark Raven, going to be significant. In the middle, the Dark Raven, in conjunction with some units from the Navy, has managed to get some Zooies onto the island, and they're starting to kill off everything that was built up over here by Pounder. Did Pounder get enough of an economic lead out of that for it to be significant? And he did. He's at 83 mass a second, which is the highest in the game, despite losing most of the mexes, all of the mexes, in fact, in the middle there. And he has a sizable navy. Unfortunately, his navy not quite T2 yet. He's working on a T2 naval factory upgrade, which will be nice whenever it does finish up, of course. And he's trying to drop the main island of both Salter and the Dark Raven. Don't know if this is going to work, and no, in fact, it's not. It's just going to be a mass dump, which is nice for Team 1, unfortunate for Pounder 69. We now have destroyers coming out for Salter, along with those cruisers from earlier, could pose a huge threat on the base of Momoshiki. And if that does happen, that's going to be a huge problem for Team 2, because they're really not winning the other flanks. After that drop up here, it seems as though Pounder and Control 3 haven't been able to exert any more damage on their opponents. And now it does seem as though there's an inevitable cruiser-destroyer push about to happen. That's just going to end up killing off Momoshiki. He just doesn't really have a response. He needs to probably run away. He has another set of T2 HQs. This time it's Cybran, and he is just struggling with this idea of HQs and support factories. And he's starting to lose mass extractors, starting to lose power generators, gonna be losing engineers, and he's gonna be losing these shields and this T2 power momentarily, and this is just looking desperate. There's engineers about to make landfall for Salter. Salter gonna try and establish a land base over here. Gonna have to see if that's his goal or if he's just going for reclaim. Either way, won't be surprised to see a few factories thrown up. The only difference is how many factories and how hard he fights for the island. Over on the eastern side, things looking a little bit more dire, though, for Team 1, as they're kind of just very short in the water. I think Pounder is having a little bit of trouble, a little bit of indecision, needs to decide what he wants to do with his navy. Does he want to try and pressure on the east, or does he want to try and help out his allies on the west? I personally would go with the winning route, which is probably attack. You probably should just attack. If you try and show up and protect your ally over here who's seemingly struggling anyways, you're not going to get very much done. There is another player over here on the south trying to get up Navy, and yeah, I think at this point aggression is the better option because this is already lost. But, of course, I could be wrong. And go ahead and discuss it in the comments. Tell me, do you think you should try and protect your teammates or try and kill enemies in this sort of position? Because it's a very difficult one. Pounder seemingly finally deciding on something, and I think indecision is the worst decision of all, though. And he's sending a bunch of units over to the west, but there's multiple destroyers, multiple Cybran cruisers. This is not going to cut it. This is a bunch of T1 garbage. Honestly, like, I mean, T1 units, I sing the praise of the frigate so often, but the frigate needs to be used in conjunction. It's like the bit on a drill. It's kind of useless by itself, but when you add the drill and the bit together, it's a really useful drill. But by itself, no, just the drill bit is not as useful. And this is like the drill bit, and the T2 forces that it protects are like the drill. So, you know, like drill bit's a little bit more disposable than the drill and all that. It all works out. I don't know why I use tools as a reference. I'm not a tool person. I'm not a very handy person. But over here in the west, it seems as though all this is going to do is cause Laxsalter, to send his entire navy to the south, which is going into White's naval forces, which, honestly, this might be worse than if he just stood and fight, which he could have just stood and fought, I think. I don't know, could he have? Seems to me like these destroyers deal with that many frigates, but Now he's down here and he's killing off all of the navy that has been building up for here for Gidart, and that's gonna be it's gonna be unfortunate. He's gonna lose all of his navy, of course, which is sad for Salter. I'm sure he wished he could have kept his navy alive. He kills off a few torpedo bombers, which is also gonna be useful for him. And I don't know, maybe he basically trades evenly with Gidart, with as far as all of this. Like, as far as all of the unit trading in the Navy goes. Up here to the north, a factory and a PD have been completed over here for Salter. Salter managing to get onto the island and build up a little bit of a presence for himself. Is it going to be enough? He's about to be able to kill off the last of the Cybran Tech for Team 2. They're going to lose the Cybran Tech, but easy come, easy go. That's just how it is. And, of course, no! It's gonna live with 130 HP, and because it's Cybran, it'll regenerate. That's quite interesting. A bunch of frigates up here for Pounder 69. I mean, the frigates are slowly dying, admittedly, but he's gotten a lot of value out of these frigates, and now he's starting to produce T2 units. Over on the eastern side, though, it seems as though a drop of some form over here, out from Flaming Goat, has just, oh my god, he dropped Sparkies. Flaming Goat has dropped Sparkies on the eastern side, and Control 3 has been completely annihilated. Just players all over the place having their bases annihilated. All of these players losing everything and having to rebuild. Right now, Control 3 in the hot seat and losing his entire base. And over to the west, Momoshiki losing his base. Earlier, we saw the loss of the base of Major Pain. And Control 3 has managed to kill off all of the production for Major Pain. Either that or this was a Control K, but I'm pretty sure that was the killing of all the production. So over on the eastern side, a complete naval victory for Team 2. But on the western side, basically the same, but Team 1 the winning side. And it's just... wow, these teams... okay, Team Matchmaker is doing its job pretty fucking well, because if this isn't a balanced game, I don't know what is. Players going punch for punch, tit for tat. Nobody has died yet, but people have lost their bases. Some of them don't have a base because there's just, like, nothing to have. Like, your base is basically the enemies. They built a bunch of freaking PD there. Now, of course, this PD will be cleaned up. And if he wants to, Control 3 will be able to get back into his base and rebuild all of this. It's going to be unfortunate. He's going to be like Major Pain, where, as I said, Major Pain, he's still going to have struggles getting back into the game, getting back into a position where he can affect the outcome of this match. He's still struggling with that. He does have an eco building up, but it's just not enough, and he just doesn't have standing units or anything to fight with, so... it's a struggle. Luckily for Control 3, he has a very large standing navy. It's T1, but we've seen large standing T1 navies do a decent amount over here on the western side. At the very least, force the T2 navy to run away for a while. Over here in the middle, seems as though the mass T2 strategy coming out from Salter just doesn't really have any opposition right now from Team 2, and this land presence that came out from Lax Salter is continuing to grow. Does manage to kill off that last of the Cybran Tech for Team 2, and is rebuilding an entire base, getting a ton of factories set up, and this is the most solid hold we've seen for a little while out of any player. Now we have more Sparkies sent over here by Flaming Goat. They're not going to do very much. There's too much air presence out over here for Pounder. It's not going to mean enough for them. Even going to be able to kill off this flak with Nathas if he feels like it. Yeah, just going to take a couple more. Yep, those two Nathas will kill off this flak. And that's going to mean that the presence of Sparkies is not going to be here anymore. But over on the western side, Salter getting an entire base set up. And right now, Team 2 is in desperate straits. Team 1 has had all this time to rebuild. The player who got hit the worst, Major Pain, is rebuilding and getting a solid eco behind him and getting up some naval production, which admittedly is under threat right now by Control 3. But down here in the south, Team 2, they've lost 2 entire players. It's basically Pounder and get aren't against the world because there's nothing else here. Control 3 is still technically kind of doing stuff because he has a large navy. He's going to be killing off a lot of this production. If somehow Flaming Goat and Major Pain can manage to kill this off, it'll be huge because that's the only point of pressure on the map that's really affecting them. Somehow Major Pain has not gotten the memo that this is a navy map. He's built higher tech in both land and air than he has in the navy, but he's building a bunch of torp launchers. Torp launchers not incredibly efficient if these frigates and subs were actually to try and fight the torp launchers. T2 torp launchers incredibly inefficient mass-wise, but seems as though it might be working out. This second T2 torp launcher might go up. The T1 torp launcher is going up. There's a decent little chunk of HP to chew through for all these frigates and submarines. It might be enough to clean this up, but I'm not sure. Speaking of cleaning things up, Team 2 needs to find a way to clean up the presence built up over here by Laxalter, because he's about to have enough units to just roll over the base of, well, now Momoshiki and Gidart, and Momoshiki saved a Cybern engineer. He's trying to keep the Cybern dream alive, and I respect him. Momoshiki, a legend for trying to get the superior technology under his belt. Of course, the UEF woefully inadequate. That's why they have to enslave the Cybern people and all that, because of course they just can't achieve things without us. So of course he'd be going for our beautiful, wonderful technology, but unfortunately it's about to die unless he runs that engineer away, which would be advisable. Momoshiki now having his comm over here to try and help. There's a couple of buzzkills going up. I think triads would be a little bit more useful for Gidart, who is now T2. There's a few triads in the main base of Gidart, but that's not going to be doing very much. There's a naval battle going on over here. Bulwarks and cruisers out from Gidart trying to help out the main naval forces out from Pounder 69, who's been fighting a navy fight with the units of Salter and the Dark Raven for a long time. We haven't spoken about the Dark Raven, but he's managed to take over the middle island now, and that's going to be giving him a lot of eco, and now he's sitting on 80 mass generation a second, which is respectable. Salter getting a lot of T3 mexes now, sitting on the highest economy in the game behind Pounder, of course, with 152, and Pounder is sitting nearly 200 mass a second. Would not be surprised to see some kind of experimental going up for Pounder very soon. It's a very viable strategy. I know on Navy maps, oftentimes experimentals are a little bit overlooked and people just try and focus on their navies, but building a chicken over here and just walking it across will almost guaranteed secure you an island, and the opponents don't have enough torp bombers. They don't have enough naval units to just stop you. Over here in the north, we can see pretty clearly that the torpedo launchers managed to clean up all of these naval units and leave a nice reclaim field over here for Flaming Goat and Major Pain to scoop up. And these players can get more involved in the Navy. They will help out their team a ton. Right now, it is seriously Pounder and Gidart just trying to claw their way back into this game for their team. But Gidart is starting to take a lot of attritional damage. And Pounder, he's over here. What is Control 3 doing? Control 3 is trying to build T2 mass extractors with his T2 comm, which is fine, but he needs to rebuild faster, honestly. Over here in the middle, trying to build T2 power on this central island, which is going to be a little bit awkward whenever he finds out that Major Pain still has a structure over here. Control 3 making some strange decisions, but I mean, he is still trying. Gotta give him props for that. Over here in the middle, Momoshiki finding the mass to build a bunch of triads. Where is he getting all of this? Pounder claiming it's GG in all chat while sitting on the highest economy in the game. Is he willing to fight? Is he willing to go on? That is the question. Salter playing a blinder of a match right now. He's ecoed incredibly well. He's almost keeping up with his opponent Pounder. He's managed to get a strong production base over here on the western island. He's starting to push out Momoshiki and Gidart, and it's just starting to look very, very desperate for Team 2. Team 2 just in a hugely disadvantageous position. And I don't know if I see a way back. It's on the shoulders of Pounder 69. Pounder 69 has to find a way to salvage this situation. How he does it doesn't matter. If he does it, does. Is he going to be able to find the key, the solution that his team needs to come back and win this game? All that and more to be answered in the next 30 minutes to an hour. Aren't we so lucky to be able to watch the drama unfold without any interruption? Speaking about interruption, you know what would be an amazing thing to interrupt this cast for? Shilling! Let's go ahead and talk about channel membership down below. You get access to amazing emotes. There's like 6 of them. Or maybe 5. I don't know. Math is hard. That's why I don't do it on casts. Fuck it. But you also get access to the replay review. Have you noticed all those videos going up on my channel called the F You Pay Me replay reviews? Yeah, those are all channel members or people who have joined the Patreon. You can get one of those too. You can learn to be a better FAFer, or at the very least get memed on and laugh at it. So, if you want access to those beautiful benefits today, click that join button down below as these naval units duke it out. And we see a large naval battle incur. Who will be the victor on the seas? Who will have the decisive engagements required to end this match? And who will come out on top? Who will end up on the bottom? It's all questions that we must ask, and the question that's on everybody's mind is, when will I stop asking questions, and when will I start casting with authority? And the answer is right fucking now. Going northwards is the entire navy of Pounder 69, a very mature name, moving his way up towards the northeastern island, but he might be trying to wrap around and get towards the Dark Ravens production. Either way, he needs to start coming up with a strategy with all these units that he does have, trying to get anything done, it does seem. A few torpedo bombers coming out from the Dark Raven, trying to shut down this aggression coming out from Pounder 69, but these torpedo bombers are going to kill off a destroyer, but they'll all be shot down for their trouble, as there are of course cruisers and a ton of frigates in the mix, not to mention the AA of actually no, it's just cruisers and frigates. For some reason I thought the destroyer had AA, but it doesn't. And here in the center, it seems as though Salter has been kind of struggling with getting a critical mass of units. It seems he's constantly fighting, and I think he's getting killed off a lot by cruisers. I think a lot of cruisers are, he's not moving his units enough. You'll see his units kind of sit still for long periods of time. That's one thing you can't really do when your opponent is spamming cruisers. The longer you sit still, the worse your situation gets. Is this a formation move? I think this is a formation move, which I haven't seen used very often with Navy, but honestly kind of respect it, as Gidarnt uses formation move to try and keep his units in a somewhat reasonable situation, keep them all underneath the shields. The shields of the bulwarks do start going down, they do start collapsing. He needs to keep the bulwarks alive during this very vulnerable period of time. Over to the north, it seems as though Pounder 69 has decided to attack the island of Flaming Goat and Major Payne 10. Of course, Pounder 69 trying to find a place that is weak enough for him to pound through. And it does seem like this is it. Over here on the island, T3 land has been achieved by Gidarnt. He is building Titans to try and deal with the Medusa spam. The fact that these players are still on this island is amazing in and of itself, with how much pressure Salt has put over here. But is it enough? T2, the most forward building for Team 2 on this island is a Cybran air factory built by a UEF player that's about to reach T2. That's a very weird sentence. That's a very weird sentence, and I'm so happy I get to say it. Currently, Momoshiki is my favorite Cybern player in this match, and he didn't even pick Cybern. He is the homeless man with a Cybern air factory. That's what he is. And he might be losing the Cybern air factory very soon. I'm not sure. The shield goes down. This is starting to look a little bit dire. Over on the eastern side, the aggression out from Pounder 69 and Control 3 have managed to destroy the base of Major Pain for about the 12th time. I'm sure it feels for him, but I think it's only the second time he's lost his base. And of course, he's trying to build up his own naval spam force. Team 1 having it's a bit of a struggle. So you build the frigates for the sole purpose of taking hits. That's what frigates do. They take hits for you. Both the Dark Raven and Salter don't understand the concept of why you build frigates, and that's why they're not building frigates. They're probably land players. They probably don't play very much Navy, and they're thinking, oh well, the higher tech means that it's better. I should just stop building the lower tech ones. And holy mother of God, is this inefficient. What the fuck? Get it away, it's nasty. Oh God. Just threw up in my mouth a little bit. God. I never want to look at that again. Harm's creeping is fine, but that's disgusting and so bad. So horrible that it's physically repulsive. Don't do this. This is bad with T1 PD. It's bad enough with that. Don't do this. It doesn't work. It's not useful. This will die in about 10 seconds, and also your opponent has battleships. Pounder is now blinding. What? It just out of nowhere. Pounder's just like, okay, I'm gonna build battleships now. He also has a nuke. Pounder's just decided that, hey, they haven't killed me, so I guess I'll win the fucking game. Because, yeah, the Dark Raven and Salter, the onus was on them to carry. They were in such a strong position. They needed to deal damage, and they got stalled out by the navies of Gidarnt and Pounder, and now they're getting pushed back. This mass torpedo launcher spam is not going to do dick nor diddly. And these 3 battleships are more than enough. Every battleship he builds, and he's building them at a fucking blistering rate. Just look how quickly these battleships are being built. Oh my God, he's throwing them together like it ain't nothing. And the more battleships he builds, the harder it gets. They need to get T3. They need their own battleships to fight back against this, and they need them en masse, or maybe even some Yathsows could help out here. But as far as things go, battleships are the order of the day, and they need to be producing them at double time production. They need to just be all over that production. The Dark Raven, not even at T3 eco yet, kind of inexcusable. You've been sitting back here. You haven't been pressured at all. You haven't lost a single unit on your half of the map, it feels. You should be at T3 tech by 35 minutes. T3 eco by 35 minutes that's a joke. That's easy. You're throwing. The reason you can't build any of your fancy T3 units is because you don't have the eco for it. He's gone T3 air, T3 navy, all on 117 mass. That doesn't work. The Flaming Goat has been ecoing a little bit better, and he's doing a lot. He did those drops earlier, but now Control 3 is being allowed to get re-established. Over here on the Western Island, it seems as though Gidarnt and Momoshiki are providing enough of distraction and forcing Salter to spend enough mass on this island that this island is starting to become a trap. He's spending more on this island than he's getting out of it. And the Titan spam has managed to do just enough, it would seem, to save them on this island. And it's been here, they've been doing it for so long. Momoshiki has had time to build a clink hammer, which he's been trying to do for about an hour, it feels. And over here in the center, the massive battleships is just slowly taking its toll. It's taking out units one by one, as it do, and just kind of just destroying Okay, why the fuck is this still here? This should just be dealt with. Strategic launch detected. It's going over towards the base of the Dark Raven. I wonder what the logic on that one is from Pounder, but it's gonna land. There's no anti-nuke. And Salter saying, oh shit, realizing he doesn't have an anti-nuke. Doesn't even have, does he have a T3 engineer? He has T3 on the comm. Should start building a anti-nuke the second he realizes it's not going to his base. And hope he can load it in time. But Pounder is just playing a blinder of a game. He's just fucking winning. And honestly, you should just do what he's doing. He egoed really hard. He went here for the middle. He played super greedy. And now he's just playing smart. He's slowly got his eco up to the max that he could. He's sitting on something respectable. Something... Oh, wow. He's lost a bunch of eco recently. Either that or he's in a power stall. He was at over 200 just a second ago. And it seems he lost some of that somewhere. Yeah, he lost all of these to... I think it was either drops or just some units getting in behind him. Oh, to gunships! Gunships are causing a huge issue for Pounder. Oh, this could be significant. I thought Pounder had T3 air. He does, but he's just not looking. These gunships out from the Dark Raven, who... Does he have the mod on that names every unit, or does it just name units that get veterancy? Let's see, do these have veterancy? Okay, it just names units that get high veterancy from the looks of it. Why are you not sending... Okay, he's sending his ASF. I was about to say, don't do this, but copy everything else, because the man's playing amazingly. And he's really just showing up Team 1 in its entirety. He's 1v4ing right now. His teammates aren't contributing aggressively whatsoever. The only teammate who has significantly contributed... Well, I guess significant contributions go to Gidart and Control 3, which sounds like a lot, but Control 3 was kind of a meat shield, and kind of still is a meat shield to stop these players from dealing with him. And over here, Gidart really helped him in the Navy while he was establishing himself and helped hold off the aggression out from Salter and the Dark Raven. And it's just looking like this might be over. The anti-nuke isn't even done yet. And his nuke is like, it's past like 40%. As long as he's not, I mean, I guess he is mass stalling. So that nuke's not going to be done anytime soon. But he has how many battleships? He has a fuck you amount of battleships. Anything over 5 battleships concentrated somewhere and your opponent has less than 2, it's a fuck you amount of battleships. It's literally, fuck you. You do not win the naval battle anymore. He has enough battleships that the only way you win this naval battle is by stupid amounts of submarines. Because you need something that the battleships can't hit. And they can technically hit submarines, but you can move them a little bit easier than battleships can hit them. So this one galaxy is doomed to a fate of death. And I think Pounder's gonna win. Even if Pounder gets sniped, his base just goes to... I don't even know who it goes to, but probably somebody competent. It goes to Gidart, who's at least shown a propensity for, you know, building units and attacking the enemy. Speaking of Gidart, he's managed to get up enough Titans to push back the wave of units coming out from Salter, who has gone T2 land. He has spent so much mass trying to force off Gidart from this island. And Gidart has just said no. He's just done the turtle thing, and he's done it fucking well. Yathzau's now in the water. Is it enough? I mean, even if he spams Yathzau's, his opponent can spam Yathzau's, but better. The Dark Raven can't produce enough Yathzau's for it to be a significant issue. Because if he starts producing them in mass, Pounder just builds his own Yathzau's. And he's proven he's better at building T3 naval units, and on top of that, he didn't just get nuked. So what is the response? You have a couple of galaxies, but every time you build a galaxy, it dies immediately. There's a fuck you amount of battleships, as I said. For some reason, this is still producing issues. Don't know why. This can just literally be killed by the throwaway units he has here, or the battleships. The battleships can deal with it too. That is the most Matrix dodge of Matrix dodges I've ever seen out from that galaxy. Let's slow this down to as slow as I can get it. I want a juicy thumbnail. Impossible odds. Alright. We'll go back to the way things are supposed to be. Back to normal speed, but my lord. Have I mentioned in a recent cast how fucking beautiful this game can be? Like, it's just the carnage, the destruction. The fire, all of the simulated projectiles, everything just working. It's just kind of beautiful. Even whenever battleships are firing at a stupid amount of torp launchers that were a waste of mass and would have been better spent on literally anything else. Overall, it seems as though Pounder has this on lock. The onus is now on Team 1. It felt like Team 2 needed to come up with a solution for the longest time. Well, over here they did. Gidart said, fuck you, this is my island, I'm gonna build Titans and take it. And Salter didn't deal with him quick enough. In the Navy, Pounder said, I'm gonna build battleships and you need to deal with it. And Team 1 decided, what are battleships? Who cares? Team 1, this is the epitome of the idea that aggression will solve your problems. And it will solve a lot of your problems. But mindless aggression, constantly throwing units at the opponent, can backfire quite hard. They sat on their laurels, they sat on their map control, and they sat on everything they had. All of these advantages they had built themselves by being aggressive early. They sat on them, and they didn't abuse them. Salter has been playing well. He's gotten up a good eco. But I don't think he understood how to do Navy, which is admittedly not that bad of a sin, but he started losing battles and he didn't change anything. He kept spamming Salem cruisers. Salem's and... what's the name of the cruiser? I should know the name of the fucking Cyber cruiser by now. But I don't. I don't know the name of, like, any of the cruisers. Salem's Siren spam, and it wasn't working. It was obvious it wasn't working. Then he tried the Medusa. He had a plan. He had a strategy. But it wasn't flexible. It was one plan, one strategy, and if it didn't work, he was gonna lose. And it worked pretty well, but it didn't work to the point where he was gonna win, and now he's gonna be nuked. Here comes the Seraphim nuke. And there it goes. And with that, I'm pretty confident in saying that the game is over. Pounder managed to pound his way back from the... He managed to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat with his hammering ways. He pounded his way back into this game. And he's pounding his point home that he is a competitor and he is not here to lose. I know there's other players on Team 2, and Gidart, I gave credit to him. Control 3 admittedly got back into his base, and he's over here, he's doing good. But I don't think anybody watching this game thinks that they decided the game. Pounder decided he was going to win this game, and he made it happen. Over here on the eastern side, there's a huge naval battle. An absolute crazy naval battle going on. And it does seem as though Team 1 is getting the better of it. I guess I can turn off free cam for a little bit. Team 1 does seem to be getting the better end of it. They're going to be able to get into the production of Control 3, but there's no way they get such a dominant naval win that they force out Pounder. Pounder has still got his navy, and it takes literally about 20 minutes to build to the level of navy he has, and that's just talking about the battleships, not talking about anything else. To catch up with his battleship count would take forever, and the frigates is the easiest point to get. He can get frigates like it's nothing. And these units out from Major Payne, who has had the biggest focus on navy, but he just got screwed early by Pounder, in fact, with a singular drop. And over here, the battleships are here. Why would you get torpedoed? Do you really think you're going to get in the water with the torpedo comm and get anything done? You're not, but okay. The battleships literally just need vision. Do they not have vision of the comm? They don't. Well, the battleships are just going to completely screw over this island. Over here, the Titans completely cleaning up the southwest island. And we're going to speed this up to +5. Salter's been killed by presumably the battleships. It was one volley of battleships and he was dead. Astro sitting on how many battleships? 11. There's a constant stream of units coming out from both Flaming Goat and Major Payne trying to kill off the navy of Pounder, but it's just not enough. Summit class battleships now coming out, and you know what? Maybe if Pounder has a major emergency and walks away from his computer for about 10 minutes, Flaming Goat has a snowflake's chance in hell of killing him. That's a maybe. That's a hard maybe. That means that Flaming Goat needs to know that that's happening and stop sending his units at the idle units of Pounder. But even then, if he walks away, he's still building battleships. And he's going to be building them faster than Flaming Goat can because he's on almost double the eco. Well, not quite double, but like he is like 40% more eco. It's crazy. And with that, I'm going to track the group of battleships. We're going to zoom in. We're going to go to Observer. Put on the free cam. Turn it all off. And we're going to watch the battleships for a while. Because what else is there to watch? There's an anti-nuke on that island. This nuke could be going for... it could be going for Major Payne, and it probably wouldn't... Yeah, it's going to get Major Payne. The Major Payne loses his base for the 5th time. Or something like that. And the battleships make their way in. That Summit class battleship, it's going to die. This is very reminiscent of a cast I did not so long ago with Fluffy, where he also just got a fuck you amount of battleships. And that's a good way to win. It's a good way to win, is a fuck you amount of battleships. Doesn't even matter what faction you are, just get a fuck you amount of battleships. On a navy map. And yeah. Flaming Goat, one battleship broadside, one battleship, one of these armadas. If this armada of battleships just decides to right click on his comm, he dies in probably one volley. Dark Raven decides to control K, decides it's not worth fighting anymore. Major Payne control K is Flaming Goat, still holding out the Mad Lad. But the maddest of lads die to battleships. That's battleships. That's the moral of the story. Is build fucking battleships when you're ahead, and when you're behind, apparently also build battleships. They're good. Lot boat, lot map, and good boat. Oh, there he goes. He gets on the transport. He
gets on the transport. He's gonna try and make his way down to the southern island, but he's gonna run into a metric fuck ton of ASF and die himself. And it's a GG. Thank you all for watching. You all have been beautiful. If you want to see more casts like this and you want to support the channel, yet again, consider hitting that join button down below or joining the Patreon or subscribing. Like, comment, dislike if you disliked it. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.